All right, man, peace. So for those of you brothers that follow professional sports, I'm pretty sure that you're fully acquainted with the concept of the it factor, quote unquote. The it factor, also known as the quote unquote clutch gene, as Skip Bayless coined it, is something that certain athletes have and most athletes just do not have. It basically entails that when the situation arises, when you're in an adverse condition or scenario, you have certain select few athletes who can rise to the occasion and perform under great stress and great adversity. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Muhammad Ali, we've seen it over and over and over again throughout modern sports history. And it's something that you're born with. If you're born with it, you can improve it. If you're not born with it, you'll never have it. Bottom line. And there have been certain great athletes that I've seen since I've been watching sports who just didn't have it. They were phenomenal, but they just did not have it. Like Peyton Manning, just did not have it. Alex Rodriguez did not have it. Steve Young did not have it. It doesn't mean that they were not great performers. All that means is that there are going to be certain situations, certain occasions in the playoffs where they're going to perform well because they're just that great. But overall, they're going to come up short. Steve Young, no matter how much he's lionized today, I watched him all throughout the 90s. He had one season where he played okay in the playoffs. That was in 94 when they won the Super Bowl. And that team was so loaded. That team was so loaded that had they not won the Super Bowl, that would have been one of the great choke jobs of the 20th century. They literally had probably the top three players in the NFL on the same team. Like really, they had Jerry Rice, Deion Sanders, and Steve Young all on the same team. And in the backfield, they had Ricky Waters. I mean, that team was just loaded. They had Merton Hanks playing at safety. I believe they had Ken Norton Jr. at linebacker. That team was just out of this world. But Steve Young, once again, he just did not have that clutch gene. He was very fortunate to win that NFC Championship game against the Cowboys in Candlestick on that nasty, sloppy-ass field that they had. They got out to a huge lead, and they were fortunate to hold that lead because the Dallas Cowboys made a furious comeback. Peyton Manning, all-time greatest quarterback in the regular season, no doubt about it. But in the postseason, he was whack juice. And he was very fortunate to win the two championships that he won because he was not good against the Bears and he was not good against the Carolina Panthers. But fortunately for him, his team saved his ass. That brings us to Mr. Deshaun Watson, who certainly has the it factor, no doubt about it. I saw him 2 straight years against the Alabama Crimson Tide, out of this world. Now, will he be able to carry that it factor over into this weekend's ultimate matchup against the Indianapolis Colts? We'll see. It's going to be a major matchup this weekend between the Houston Texans and the Indianapolis Colts. As we know, Andrew Luck is on the comeback trail. He was out last season with a bevy of injuries, especially to his shoulder. He's basically had to build himself back up physically and mentally. Fortunately for him, the Colts front office has finally started to build up the team the right way through the offensive and defensive lines. And that's why I'm going to pick the Colts in this matchup. I think that Deshaun Watson is going to have a great game, and it would not shock me if they won. But right now, I'm going to pick the Colts. It's going to be a very close game, very competitive, probably a shootout. Final score, 35-31 Colts. But anyway, they're going to talk about it, and I'm going to chime in.
Max, what do you think?
Well, look, when we talk about who's going to be better, it's not just who compiles bigger numbers or even whose team wins, because it's a very interdependent sport. You know, the sport is dependent upon a lot of variables, not just the quarterback, even though he has a tremendous influence. And the difference between Deshaun Watson and Lamar Jackson making their playoff debuts here is that Deshaun Watson's been running for his life behind a porous offensive line.
Yes, his offensive line is bad, but he also holds the ball too long. And that happens with young quarterbacks. That used to happen with Andrew Luck, which led him to get his body broken down. Hopefully that will not happen to Mr. Deshaun Watson. Earlier this season, he was already starting to get broken down. There was a story about how brave he was to travel on the team bus to get to the game because he had a collapsed lung. That's not tough. That's not brave. That's stupid. Injuries are a part of the game, but he runs around too much. He has to start dumping off the football to the running back. He has to start getting rid of the football quicker, or he is going to find his way out of the NFL very quickly.
And Lamar Lamar Jackson has been running for first downs as part of a ball control strategy that...
Also part of the notion in the NFL that when you have a black quarterback, basically you have a running back who can throw. That's how they look at black quarterbacks. And it shows you that they view the black quarterback to be much more expendable than certain quote-unquote pocket quarterbacks. And that's why it would behoove great pocket quarterbacks or potentially great pocket quarterbacks like Deshaun Watson to understand his own value and start getting rid of the football quicker. Because his coach, Bill O'Brien, is not the sharpest knife in the drawer.
That's been working for Baltimore. So when you look at it like that, you say, well, Lamar Jackson will have the better debut. And superficially, he may. But if you want to just isolate quarterback play, I think Deshaun Watson is the answer. And say...
I think that Deshaun Watson will be the best quarterback this weekend, but it just won't be enough. I don't think that their defense is going to be able to contain Andrew Luck.
Saying that, look, Lamar Jackson is already, if he does nothing else in his NFL career, and he'll do more, better than I thought he'd ever be as a pro quarterback.
Me too.
Now, he's in the right kind of system for him. It's like all clicking just right for him. But when I used to watch Lamar Jackson in college, I would think, this guy is just an outstanding, tremendous, elite college player.
In other words, he was a great athlete. Now, Deshaun Watson has that it factor. That's why I say it would not surprise me if he were able to be victorious this weekend. Honestly, it would not surprise me if Deshaun Watson were able to lead his team to a Super Bowl appearance. I'm not quite sure if they would win, but it would not shock me to see him get there because, his quote-unquote clutch gene is that strong.
I don't know if he'll translate on the next level. I tended to doubt it, already he's doing better than, say, a guy like Josh Allen, and maybe that's part of their circumstances, sure. But
of course it is. The Baltimore Ravens have a history of being winners. They have a great coach. They have a great defense. You cannot compare him to Josh Allen.
But he's a guy who you looked at in college and you wondered, and he's already had tremendous success on the NFL level. Deshaun Watson, people had too many questions about. Deshaun Watson has been the man for a long time at every level he's played.
Well, Deshaun Watson, to be quite frank with you, also suffered from coming in the aftermath of Mr. Cam Newton. Here we have a black quarterback who is a transcendent athlete, has a great arm, is a winner. But will he be able to read NFL defenses? Will his mind work quickly enough to understand how to get rid of the football? Which is still something that he struggles with, but he's such a great overall quarterback that he still completes well over 60% of his passes. He can stretch the football field. He has great vision, great timing. The only thing he's missing is that he has to get rid of the ball faster. That's it.
He is just an excellent quarterback with a special quality. So if you want to...
Yes, the it factor.
Predict if you isolate their play, who will do better. As good as Lamar Jackson's been, I think Deshaun Watson's just better. But if you want to look at whose team has a better chance to win or who may put up better stats, it may be Lamar Jackson. He's in a better situation.
Well, Lamar's not going to put up better stats this weekend, at least I don't think, unless he has one of those games like Colin Kaepernick had back in the day when he played against Green Bay. I think it was like in 2013 when he rushed and threw for over 250 yards in the same game, something crazy like that. I could see Lamar having that type of game if he were to have a real coming out party. But he would have to have at least one 80-yard touchdown run. Deshaun Watson is going to have better numbers. I just think that his team is not going to have enough to beat Indianapolis. Indianapolis has a great defense and a phenomenal offensive line. That's not even talking about their quarterback. And then their tight end, Eric Ebron, has pretty much come out of nowhere. After seemingly being a flop in Detroit, now he's one of the top tight ends in football.
At the